When one of the biggest names in the basketball world becomes a frequent name in the trade rumors, it puts everyone on high alert. According to the rumor mill, James Harden, the big name in question, has become linked with a move away from the Brooklyn Nets in the offseason, and more than a couple of teams could be circling for his signature. In today's video, we'll be discussing James Harden's possible exit from the Brooklyn Nets and his subsequent possible destinations. Stay tuned. Who could get Harden? One of the best shooting guards in the NBA and one of the best players overall. Should Harden decide to move, he'll not be short on options, and three teams have emerged as the most likely to sign him. Number 1, the Philadelphia Sixers have been touted as the most likely destination in the event that the rumors are true and Harden does indeed get traded. President of basketball operations at the 76ers, Daryl Morey, has headlined his offseason trade wish list with Harden. He is reportedly ready to go all out to bring the 6'4" shooting guard to Philadelphia and strengthen his lineup and improve their chances of reaching the NBA Finals. But for now, Morey is apparently playing the long game, waiting impatiently for the right opportunity to poach the superstar this summer. Morey is also navigating the sale of Ben Simmons and has put the asking price for Simmons so high that the probability of the Sixers finding a trade partner for the 2016 #1 pick is extremely low. Sacramento Kings were initially the foremost and most aggressive team in the pursuit of Simmons' signature. They've also ended trade talks towards the end of January. According to a statement by the Kings, they've pulled out because they believe that the 76ers asking price is far too steep and that reaching a trade agreement might very well be impossible. Simmons' trade fate links to Harden's because Philadelphia has always preferred to hold off on the execution of sign and trade deals with basketball superstars till the offseason, which in this case is Harden. The Sixers believe firmly in this mantra, trust the process, and one would argue that if it is what Morey is doing. He'd previously made a push to trade for Harden before the shooting guard come point guard was sent to Brooklyn in an intricate 4-team trade deal. However, with the deadline right around the corner, the 76ers have yet to present the Nets with an offer. With Simmons out of action, Joel Embiid has almost single-handedly powered the Sixers to the 3rd spot in the Eastern Conference, 3 places ahead of the Nets' 6th place ranking, which raises the question just how impressive and effective would a Harden-Embiid duo be in the scenario that the Harden deal does materialize for the 76ers before the deadline elapses. Despite the 76ers and Morey playing it safe for now and Philadelphia being considered as favorites to land Harden, might make more sense for them to at least make a formal offer. Number 2, the Los Angeles Clippers are another name that have come up frequently as one of the teams with the best chance of getting Harden. Clippers have this season not been the team that people thought they would be by a distance. They've been playing without 2 of their most important players, Kawhi Leonard, who has been sidelined with a torn anterior cruciate ligament, ACL, and Paul George, who's been sidelined with an ulnar collateral ligament, UCL, injury. According to their teammate Nicholas Batum, the 2 are expected to be fit to return to the team either towards the end of February or in early March. The team's record stands at an unimpressive 26-26, and they're just barely holding on to the playoff spots, sitting in 6th place in the Western Conference. Eastern Conference is much more competitive this year, and even without their star players, the Clippers holding on to the playoff spot is still very likely. The Clippers have been performing better than the Lakers, the other Los Angeles team, and it just needs one game changer, someone who could give them an extra, much-needed push. And who better to do this than Harden? After all, he was born and raised in Los Angeles and could be persuaded into spending a long-term stint in the city where his love for basketball began. Acquiring him would, however, mean that the Clippers would have to give up someone big in return. One possibility is letting go of George, who has been with the Clippers since the 2019-20 season and has not played more than 65% of the season, 54 games up till now. Let go of one big name, or Los Angeles could give up a number of his less impressive other players. Serge Ibaka was listed in Kevin Durant's top 5 teammates of all time, and if rumors going around are to be believed, then he won't be with the Clippers for much longer and might be reunited added with Durant at the Nets if Harden moved to the Clippers. A dynamic trio of Harden, Leonard, and George would be unbelievably impressive, but does not guarantee results, as the trio of Kyrie Irving, Durant, and Harden has not been able to keep the Nets in fine form. For any detail to go through it would depend on who Los Angeles considers expendable, is willing to move on from just to bring in Harden. Number 3, the Boston Celtics are the other most common name in the prospective destinations for the Nets guard. Keeping in mind the expectations, Boston has been underperforming by some distance this season. Celtics are 26-25 and are languishing in the 9th place in the Eastern Conference. Before his retirement in 2021, Danny Ainge, in his capacity as the president of basketball operations, tried to trade for Harden while he was still plying his trade for the Houston Rockets, but pulled out of talks because he said that Houston had set the asking price far too high. He had to regret his decision when only a few months later the Celtics were knocked out of the NBA playoffs in the first round by Harden in his debut season at the Nets. According to reports, the Celtics have been pondering breaking up the duo of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. The Tatum-Brown duo has been together since the 2017-18 season, but Brown has only just become a consistent starter in the 2019-20 season. Even though Boston has made it to the conference finals once in that time frame, they haven't made it to the NBA finals since they lost to the Los Angeles Lakers in 2010. Tatum and Brown are a special duo, and one might argue should not be broken, but if their former coach and the new president of basketball operations, Bruce Stevens, isn't willing to sit around and wait for something to change, he should be considering any and all possibilities that could see Harden being traded to the Celtics. Celtics have also been looking into a Dennis Schroeder trade if the Brooklyn Nets aren't willing to engage in trade talks for Harden. Since Irving's 2019 exit from the Celtics, Schroeder would be a decent guard option to have. Now, controversy around Harden's trade. Should the Brooklyn Nets superstar end up in Philadelphia, NBA league sources have reportedly said that teams in the NBA would be considering demanding the league to investigate any deal that sees James Harden move to the 76ers. One of the key reasons for Harden being linked to the 76ers is because of his close relationship with the president of basketball operations, Daryl Morey, due to their time together at the Houston Rockets. Not only Morey, but Harden is reportedly also friends with Michael Rubin, 76ers co-owner. Some NBA teams executives believe that there are ongoing talks between Harden and the 76ers on a potential offseason move, and this is something that could actually be considered tampering by the league regulations and may merit an investigation into the deal. Is Harden unhappy or not? With the February 10 trade deadline fast approaching, the spotlight is back on the reported link between Harden and the 76ers and what they're planning to do with the Ben Simmons situation. Their star player, who's become disillusioned, Simmons, since having asked for a trade, has not played this season. Unfortunately for him, so far the 76ers have yet to receive a trade offer they deem sufficient enough to send him out of Philadelphia, and Harden might just be the level of player the 76ers are hoping to get before letting Simmons go. Jake Fisher, a renowned sports journalist, has released a report that said Harden may not be happy with the Nets, may just be looking for a change in teams, and even though Harden has disputed the report, Fisher's not the only one in the NBA community who believes this to be the reality. The Nets are currently in the midst of a 3-game slump with a pretty solid 29-19 record and in 4th place in the Eastern Conference. That's a wrap for this video. Will we actually see Harden making a move away from the Nets to the 76ers, or will the rumors be just that? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.